Hello and welcome to the 80s. Well, not exactly, but close. What we have here today is a Synthwave release from Finland, and this one is called Anvil Strykez. Very much digging all the way to the 80s with its kind of a synthwave or retro wave. Even outrun genre is always or often mentioned when we're talking about this kind of music. Anvil Strykez is actually a sort of a side project, so it's not the main band of the artist. However, it has proceeded to the second album since the 2017 debut, self-titled. That is something that I never heard, but I kind of knew the album. I haven't heard truly anyway. But this one is Vigilance, coming in nice neon bright pink LP. 180 grams, so very thick, very nice feeling. And even more so goes with the cover. There's nothing inside, by the way, in case you're wondering. No posters whatsoever. But this is very much a cyberpunk themed cover. As you can see, there's a certain kind of an enforcer with its gun and vizier. And then there's this creature, missing hand, also gun, and sort of a face, vizier, or whatever it's called. Female creature, obviously, or maybe we're just more gender fluid when it comes to cyberpunk age. But anyway, this is how Anvil Strykez looks like. In my opinion, a neat cover, which totally takes you to the time of cyberpunk era, where everything is kind of a neon colors and, cyber creatures. Here is the artist, obviously, with its samurai sword, katana, I guess. And this leather jacket and Ray-Ban looks, totally fit the theme here with Anvil Strykez. Now, actually, I was reading a review by my colleague when I was listening to this new album and figuring out like what he had to say about the genre. He probably knows a lot more about this genre than I do. Anyway, this was sent to me for Imperium and a Rauta review, so here it is on Rauta Beyond, because not metal release exactly. Anyway, he was basically pointing out that the original Anvil Strykez release was more about the kind of old school video games and kind of a Italo disco kind of stuff, rather than being the movie and TV series soundtrack. And I must really agree with this particular release as well. First of all, some of those tracks are not so linked together. I mean, the feeling from one track to another is quite different. So it's more like having single tracks versus an obvious kind of a single theme throughout the album, which even more, in my opinion, emphasizes the feeling that this is more like a soundtrack to a game. I mean, you could have a driving scene in one part, then a shooting part there, dialogue, one go, and stuff like that. And these tracks could actually, kind of reflect the different parts of the game. Or maybe it could even be with some tracks kind of a soundtrack to that kind of a 1980s disco music, because they're very danceable parts with electronic beats and all that stuff. So overall, it's quite diverse, which I think it's a richness in so many ways, because it's not just repeating one single pattern, but obviously exploring different kinds of ideas of electronic music. But the lack of kind of a single theme is also a little bit hard to get into. That is, some people, even though might like, synthwave or retro wave, don't necessarily like the kind of let's dance to it kind of a parts. And for example, there's one track where there are vocals, and pretty much what my colleague said about the previous albums, it's like, yeah, it has this one track with vocals, which is kind of a thing in the scene, I guess, or genre, but it's also the weakest track. And because there's only one track where the vocals are part of and the rest being instrumental, it kind of feels separated from the rest. And I have exactly the same feeling with this album. One track having vocals which are not that good, it kind of feels a little bit like it's a kind of a bonus track that shouldn't be here, except for being a bonus track. Now, it doesn't ruin anything really, but it feels a little bit detached from the rest. And to be honest, the vocals are not that good. So make it worthwhile, there should be something else than just, mediocre vocals and all that stuff. Now overall, Vigilance is an interesting release, and it's very beautiful on vinyl, and definitely the format I would say is the most appropriate for this kind of music. But compared to some of the, in my opinion, better synthwave artists, this is a little bit behind. First of all, there's nothing wrong with the kind of a sound or keyboards used or drum beats and stuff like that. Going from all the way from danceable songs to this song with vocals, and then again also having this more kind of a traditional synthwave parts, it's a little bit just too kind of a compilation like. For some people it could be a blessing. For some people like me, it's a little bit like, I don't know, I would have preferred more intact feeling, but that is obviously a matter of taste. Anyway, should you like the idea, and if it feels tempting to listen to it, I will have this Bandcamp link listed in the description box, so you can pretty much clickety-click and start playing it as soon as you're finished with the video, or even before that. So give it a go. That is an interesting release, and if you're just interested in, you will see that this vinyl release is still very much available, at least for the time being, for purchase. So clickety-click, give it a listen, and do some shopping if you like it. That's all from Rauta Beyond. Take care. Bye-bye.